What's going on, everybody? It's Country Gamer here again, bringing another YouTube video. And we're going to be talking about a story. Everybody's been talking about, we've had all these events going on in the news so far this year here in 2020. I'm going to talk about something, a little misfortune just for me, but it's how I kicked off my 2020. So, for anyone who watches this, who actually probably personally knows me, I used to drive. I've had two Dodge Rams, and the one I used to drive is this one right here, and this one's been my daily driver for quite a while until the transmission went out of it, so I had to go. At the time, I couldn't afford to get the transmission rebuilt. That was going to be about $1,500 when it was all said and done. And so I came across the deal to get another truck that was nicer than that one, and it was for $700, and all it needed was a motor. So I had the idea, hey, I had the motor in my other truck that was good, but it had a bad transmission. Now I'm going to get this nicer truck. It's really nice. It has a good transmission, working four-wheel drive, and all it needed was a motor. So I went and I picked the truck up for $700, and this is what that truck looked like. And so me and a friend, we actually had to pull it from the guy's house because, like I said, it needed a motor. So we pull it and we get ready. We pull both of the trucks actually to his farm where we do the engine swap. And that man, it kind of killed me because that gray truck, it was my baby. But yeah, so we pulled that out, and yeah, that was a fun one. We was working on dirt, and but we got it done. It took us a little bit longer than it should have done to do the engine swap. However, we got it done. We did do it on the barn, or in a barn, on dirt, unlevel ground, inadequate tools. we barely even was able to do the job. So yeah. So I decided, not even a month later, I would say, me and my buddy who helped me do the engine swap, he wasn't there, but about a month later, this was in January of 2020, I did the engine swap over Christmas break of 2019. So here in January, I said screw it. Me and a buddy, we decided to go trail riding. I was like, hey, I've got a truck that's got four-wheel drive. I can take it. He could take his vehicle that had working four-wheel drive. Go hit up some trails. So he wanted to do that. So what I do is I go ahead and I run to a beer store, and I pick up a 30-pack. And now, when I tell you this, we were not on no highways. We were out on trails, dirt roads, middle of nowhere. In fact, we didn't see one person the whole time we was out there, and we was out there all night long. So what we did, once I went and got the beer, I didn't realize he brought another friend. So once we get riding out there, so I ended up to go back to the beer store, and I picked up another 30-pack because one 30-pack wasn't going to be enough. So we're sitting there hot rodding and on the dirt roads on my way there, and about the time we split off, because he was going to go back to his house, which is down the road. He was going to go pick up some tools or something. I can't remember what he was going to get. So we split off, but I noticed there was this rattling noise, right? Something was not happy. So when we pulled up and we stopped to talk to each other before we split off, he said, hey, there's sparks coming out from under your truck. I said, well, what do you think it is? What does it look like? He said, I don't know what it is. So I get out, I look under the truck, and it's the transmission mount. Now, mind you, I was driving hard before this point. I was drifting the truck, doing burnouts, treating this truck like it was a toy. So the transmission mount got snapped, and it started rubbing the band that holds up the fuel tank. So it was sending out sparks. The drive shaft itself was rubbing that, so it was sending sparks. And so I had to take and ratchet strap that over. What I had to do is tell the transmission back up, scoot it back over, and ratchet strap it down in order for it to quit doing that. And I rode the rest of the night like that. So I get my other 30 pack, and we meet back up on the trails. We go riding, like I said, all night. And there's this one spot I recall. We was hitting some mud holes, doing a little bit of rock crawling, not too much, so it wasn't crazy, but we was just out having fun. But there's this one spot towards the end of the night. We turned off of a dirt road to go up this trail, and because you can't get all the trails from trail to trail, you actually have to travel on dirt road a little bit to hit another trail. So we hit this extra trail, and it's pretty steep. And as he's going up it, he had to lock in his four-wheel drive, and of course I made fun of him, like, why do you need to lock in your four-wheel drive? It ain't nothing. He's like, oh yeah, you're going to find out real quick. You're going to find out you're going to need your four-wheel drive. I said, nah, it ain't going to need it. Sure enough, he pulls up once he gets his four-wheel drive locked in. I get up to that spot, and yeah, I was talking the talk, but I wasn't walking the walk. I couldn't get up it in two-wheel drive. There was no way. So since it was steep, I went ahead and just locked it in 4-low. And this truck, it's the white truck. It had 410 gears in it, and so I wasn't worried about it. I was just sitting there crawling and going slow. We start going up, and it gets steeper and steeper and narrower and less. Like, when I mean narrower, I mean the mountain on the right-hand side was coming closer and steeper, whereas the mountain on the left side became more and more of an actual cliff. So, I ain't gonna lie, at this point, we've been drinking quite a bit at that point. We was already a 30 pack and a half in, and I drank most of them myself. So, yeah, the factor was making me sober up pretty quick on that one. So, we get up there, and there turns into boulders. And he's driving something that's a lot lower to the ground than my truck. So he's getting high-centered, and he can't get up it, and I can't get around him to pull him up it through it because it's so narrow. And so we ended up having to back down. And I chose a spot where I can back. There's like a where the erosion is gone from, like, a ditch coming down the side of the mountain, and it kind of widened the trail a little bit right there. I had enough to turn around in. So I turned around, and so that way I'm heading back down the hill face first so I can see. Now, before that happened, I did back into a log, and this right here is the aftermath of that. So yeah, damaged the bed backing into a log, because I couldn't see it on this tight trail, couldn't really go around it. I mean, I went up and around it because I could see it just fine when I was going up, but when I was backing down, so we're at the count right now. There's 2 things I've damaged on that truck: the transmission mount and now the bed. Now, mind you, this truck was really nice. The body was straight, the paint was perfect, real clean truck. The interior was good. I had a little minor wear and tear. So, I was a little mad about that, but I knew I couldn't do nothing about it already. The damage has been done. So we get turned around, and I start going down the hill. And so he goes to decide to turn around where I turned around. Now, I didn't think about this, but with him being lower, it wasn't level ground. So when he went to back down into that and turn around the same spot I did, he got high-centered. And this was at the point I realized I didn't really have recovery equipment. All I had was ratchet straps, and I did try to. I said screw it because it's all I had. I hooked up 2 ratchet straps together. That should have been. It was They were about 1,000 pounds each, so there should have been about 2,000 pounds of force, and I did them both tight. I got them both real tight so they'd pull the same amount, and it still decided to snap them anyway. And that's all I had on me was those two. So we all just loaded up in my truck, and we left his up there on the mountain. And I told him he's gonna have to come back up there and get it with someone else who's got better equipment than I do. So we get going down the trail. We're heading down, listening to music, having a good time. I decided, I was going to take these boys home, but I decided, hey, I want to hit another trail. Or not really a trail, but, there's some power lines that come off the road, and you go through those and you'll circle back to the road, and there's mud in them. So we got lower power lines and we got upper. So the lower is like at the bottom of the hill, and the upper is at the top of the hill. So I'll go through the lower ones, and they were all right. They were good mud. I was able to get through them, no problem. Four-wheel drive was working fine. And I get up to the top, and my buddy, now the top one I've never been through before. The bottom ones I've been all up and down through. I get up to that top one, and my buddy is like, pick your line. Now, I wasn't sober, so I wasn't thinking straight. It's probably a good idea just to back out of this. And as soon as I drove off in that thing, it was done. I didn't realize the damage that had happened when I drove off in it, other than I knew I got stuck. And I wasn't very far into it. Now, I had 33-inch tires on it and a factory ride height, which it sat up pretty high for factory. And it ran factory size 33-inch tires. So I get it stuck. The motor's starting to get to where it's not wanting to rev up real high, so I figured it's getting water in it. I got water coming in the cab. Transmission's starting to get to where it's not grabbing gear, so I knew water was getting into that too. So I managed to get a hold of a buddy to come out there to get us, and he pulls us out. And so, so the axle. Here's one of the first things he noticed. The front axle, right? If anybody knows anything about solid front axles, check this out. Took that out without having to take the wheel off. He had me turn the wheel one way and turn it back the other way, and he was able to just jiggle right on out of there, because that was actually binding up and locking my wheel up. I'm willing to bet that's how I got stuck initially, because that wheel got locked up. Because I think what happened is I drove off down in there, slid sideways, hit pretty good, and I didn't realize I did, and it's just snapped the U-joint and the axle shaft. I've never seen it do that before. And that was a Dana 44. So that was a bummer. And then we'll go ahead and check the oil. Oil's got a bunch of water in it. We'll do an oil change on it. Luckily, I had stuff besides. I had the stuff to do it. I just needed to go get a filter, so we ran to town and got a filter. And we get back. We also checked the transmission fluid, and it looked like a strawberry milkshake. It was full of water. So he asked me. He's like, I know the transmission's full of water, but are you able to drive it? I said, yeah, I think so. I probably can get going, just at least get out of the trails. And I get it going. Transmission still got water in it, but it was grabbing gears. Only had two-wheel drive at this point. We already on our way to town, we took the other two buddies of mine to their house because they were tired. And that one had to still go get his vehicle later that day, so I had to continue on with my adventure of the evening that turned into day. So yeah. So anyway, we get driving. I make it all as far. But now by this point, I'm sober because it's out a lot of time has went by. So we get out to the main highway, and I get going down the road where I can actually hit highway speeds, and I notice it's not grabbing gears. It's shifting out. It's not wanting to do nothing besides come to a stop. So I'll pull over, and my buddy's following me, and he says, "What's wrong?" I said, "Transmission ain't gonna make it home, bud. It's losing gears. I even put it in drive right there to put it to the floor, and it barely started moving." So we had to hook up a chain, yank that thing home, and so once I got it home and it sat for a little bit, here's what the truck looked like after. That's how dirty it got from. Actually, it washed a lot of it off, and then whenever it sat, so a bunch of gear oil actually leaked out onto the ground after it sitting. Once I got it home, so that truck ended up being completely done. The transmission was completely shot. The motor was shot because it was full of water. I think it was it spun a bearing or something. I can't remember. All I know is it had no power anymore. The oil was solid gray when I first drained it out, and I drained it out there as soon as we got it pulled out, so it was done. And I literally just did an oil change on it like a month before. Well, whenever I did the engine swap. So maybe a month. So the oil wasn't very old, and I didn't put that many miles on it for it to be so bad. But it was just water and grit that got down in there, and it screwed it up. So yeah, so I guess the take off from the story is if it's your only daily driver, guys, do not take it out and trail ride it. Do not. Well, if it is your only daily driver, yeah, don't do it. I've done this mistake. It's not even the first time that something like that's happened. And always have good friends around who can help you in situations like that. I'm fortunate enough to have some good buddies who are willing to come and help me if I get stuck. And it's not like I do it too often, so it doesn't really lay too much of a burden on them. And I help them out either with gas or whatever. I ask them what they need or something, or we'll just exchange it for another favor down the road. So yeah, this is another story for you guys, and hopefully y'all have a great day, and hope y'all enjoyed this story, and maybe I'll have more for y'all to come. And well, peace out.